Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at Vengeance Blood. Vengeance Blood has been doing pretty reasonably these last few days, at least from what I have seen around. They did particularly well in Grand Prix from what I had also seen floating around as well, so that's pretty impressive, and I just wanted to give it a go. I had all the cards to make it, so I thought, why not? Unfortunately, there's a few decks I haven't been able to make lately because I'm short on certain cards, but this one I had everything and was like, okay, we'll give it a shot. So here it is. It's pretty standard Vengeance Blood stuff. Of course, it is running Summon Bloodkin at the moment, along with Vanguard, which is still in every single deck. I'm surprised by how popular it still is. I'm waiting for one day, hopefully it'll drop off, because personally I find this card a little awkward sometimes, but other times quite good, so it's about 50-50 on whether I actually find a good use for it when I need it. Other than that, I don't think we're running any other new cards other than Vania herself, because Vania has a great amount of variety, from just dealing 2 damage and summoning a Forest Bat to its Vengeance effects, where you can either storm it out or drain with Ward, which both are quite good and come in handy whether you want to go aggressively or defensively, so that's always nice. And that's pretty much it. This deck is also pretty low budget. I mean, you've only got 3 Vanias and only, what, 8 golds, I think? Yeah, 8, 3 there, 3 there, and 2 there, so 8 golds, 3 legend, 6 legends, I always forget Belf, gotta remember Belf. So 6 legendaries, 8 golds, still pretty reasonable. I mean, 6 legendaries now is pretty cheap for a deck. You don't see many decks that are running under that, so not too bad. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this, and we'll get right into the video. So this first game was against a mid-sword. This was a particularly weird match, which is why I'm including it, because I thought you guys might get a little bit of a laugh out of it at least, and it still showed off the deck pretty alright, so I thought, why not show it off here. Of course, this mid-sword is pretty traditional in what it's running, but some of the plays were very questionable, so we'll just see how that plays out. We start off with a pretty average hand, starting off with some good low-cost stuff. Getting that kind of Razor Claw into 3-drop sort of cards is always nice, and being able to set yourself to Vengeance as quickly as possible is one of the keys to this deck. Unfortunately, no Belf, which kind of let me down a little bit. So Lux, that's a pretty okay play. I'm not surprised to see Lux on 2. If you don't have any other really decent 2-drop, Lux can be quite good when there's nothing on board, so that one was alright. Being able to go face was also something I liked. Lancer of Tempest, another play that I thought was pretty normal for a mid-range. Being able to clear off my board and ping some damage in and stop me from getting their face damage. The turns get kinda weird once you get into turn 4, so that's where things will get a little more interesting. So my opponent goes into turn 4. They play a Sky Commander, and I'm like, okay, 1 Sky Commander, maybe they've got another one in their hand that they were keeping. Nope, here's a 2nd Sky Commander, so really didn't know what they were thinking at this point. I mean, 1 I could kinda understand if you have absolutely no other 2-drop that you want to evo, but both of them, I'm guessing they just wanted to really push board, which was odd. I would have at least kept 1 of these. Unfortunately for them though, we have a pretty good hand, being able to throw down our Air Gemma and just slam it straight into their 2-2. This really stops them from being able to go face, which is what you want. So this one was another one, Princess Juliet and their 3rd Sky Commander. Just, they completely lost me at this point. They had to have had no other drops that they could play, honestly. I couldn't think of any reason why you would do this in this way. Of course, pushing the face damage makes sense, but why would you play 3 Celia like that and not use an Evo on 1? Like, a choose effect. If they had used their choose effect, they could have filled the board, warded up, they could have still cleared off what I had, and then went face for at least 1 damage and held off their Princess Vanguard for next turn, which would have been a little better. So I really don't know what this sword player was thinking in those stages. It was really weird to see all 3 of their Celia come down like that. But it's not so bad for me, because I get to basically go face. Fortunately, I was just short on lethal for this turn, which was a little bit of a letdown. Would have been nice if I had lethal in hand. I could have easily pushed at least the damage I needed. But being 1 short is still fine, as long as they don't go face, which, what do they have to go face after using all their Celia like that? Probably nothing. And that was going to be nowhere near enough. So really good on my part at least, but weird for their plays. I at least enjoyed that last match, which is why I really wanted to include it. I thought it was pretty funny to see 3 Celia come down in that way. Like, you either had to have bricked extremely hard to end up with a hand like that, or just, you know, being a really weird player. So we start off not very great, but a lot better with our mulligan. I mean, getting the Belf, it actually improves our hand tenfold just on its own. Being able to go into Vengeance, draw a couple of cards, really helps this deck. We also get some okay cards here, being able to have some reasonable stuff go on.
This is my home. You are my
Of course, not too much else going on, just playing our curve, getting our ward out so we can slowly deal up damage, keeping the Razor for this turn just because we're probably going to play it next turn anyway. And we do get our Paradise Vanguard.
No!
He definitely is making a splash in basically every single deck. I don't think I've seen one deck so far for a while that isn't able to tech him in as a good option. Although I still haven't found the perfect use for him, outside of just banishing some small stuff in the early game and really just being fodder in the late game, so. We do get our Belfoff, which is perfect, being able to drop our health down to 10, putting us right on the play for some really heavy storm. Our opponent, though, does start pushing out some of these amulets, really putting pressure on me. Of course, now this is a play that I kind of regret making in some ways, mainly because I probably could have actually went for lethal in the next turn after this one. If I had have, instead of what I'm about to do here, played the Palace Vanguard, if I had have just throttled down the Dark General and then slammed everything face for 11 damage, then I would have only been 4 off from killing them, which would have been a much better position considering I firstly drew a second Dark General, and I also had the Vania that would have been active and able to actually go face for 5 with the Evo anyway, so a slight misplay which put us behind by a turn at least, so that's a little unfortunate. Of course, it did only put us 1 turn behind overall because really we've got very easy ways to push game and our opponent doesn't really have too much that can do storm damage at this point in the game. So we can just slam Dark General, 6 to face, follow up with an immediate Dark General after. If they had have had a ward of some form anyway, we would have just been able to push the 7 drop to the same amount of damage and get it over with either way. The only real problem would have been healing, which honestly wasn't a big concern for me. No doubt they're playing Summit based on the cards they played so far, so I wasn't too concerned with any major healing effects. So we do just kind of miss that 1 turn. We could have had it just closed off that little bit earlier. Definitely a fault of myself. But everyone's human, we make misplays. As long as we know what mistakes we made, it's normally fine. So hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you want to check this deck list out, you can find it in the description below. I want to tell you, most of my decks do come from Twitter. If you do want to look up most of the decks that I'm using or trying to find, you can find a lot by going onto Twitter and going #Shadowverse_decks. That'll bring up heaps of different decks that are floating around. If you scroll through those a bit, you will pick up a few that could be quite interesting and give them a go. That's where I get most of my resources. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, hit the like button, subscribe. Catch you guys next time. See ya.